Hey, good morning to you. I got the same good news. Jesus is Lord. And I am so glad the word works. Let me turn over here to the book of Hebrews, chapter 2, verse 1. We'll meditate on this one a little bit today. In Hebrews 2, verse 1, therefore, I like the word therefore. What's it there for? Therefore, we ought to give the more earnest heed to the things which we have heard, lest at any time we should let them slip. Now notice the word we there. Therefore, we ought to give the more earnest heed. How does faith come? You know that. Faith cometh by hearing. But you make the choice to be the one to hear. Now, in this it says, therefore, we ought to give the more earnest heed to the Word of God. In other words, it's up to you. I wish that I could say that God just come along and opened my head, up one day and poured the word in there, but it didn't happen that way. I had to get the seed of the word of God in my heart the same way that Kenneth Copeland or Charles Cap in his day or Robert Kenneth Hagin. I had to go to the word, plant the seed of the word of God. God didn't just wake me up one day and say, whoopee, there's a man that needs faith, and just give him faith. Faith comes by hearing, and you got to plant the seed to get it. I heard this story, and I can relate to it with my father. I heard this story about a guy went by and said, "Whoo, you have such a beautiful garden, such a beautiful planted garden out there. God's been good to you. He gave you this garden." And the old farmer looked at him and said, "You should have seen it when God had it by himself." He said, "There wasn't nothing in it but weeds and, cucumbers and ragweed and Johnson grass." He said, "I had to prepare it. And I had to work it. Yeah, it's beautiful now, but I'm the one that did it." Now, you might say, well, he wasn't giving God glory. The point was he had to do it. So let me say this to you. Somebody said to me, one day on YouTube, they wrote this, "Boy, it must be nice to have the kind of faith you have." It is. I mean, Pat and I can just pray about anything and it comes to pass. We got something new that we found out about the last couple of days. Man, we are some kind of praying about it. I mean, we're seeing God do some things there that we have hardly even expected, because God's a good God, but we're praying about it. But before we prayed about it, we went to the Word and made sure that we had the Word on it. See, a lot of people get offended and get upset at faith and faith teachers because they pray about something and nothing happens. They don't have an ounce of faith, because faith comes by hearing and hearing by the Word of God. So you got to plant the seed of the Word first and get it in your heart in abundance so that when it's in there, you can release it and it works. My grandson, which lives right next door to us, he had an old pickup truck that he wanted to sell. Let it sit out there maybe 6 months, so. Well, since this guy came by, wanted to buy it. Well, it wouldn't start. Battery was just plumb dead. I don't know if that's a term that's right all the rest of the world, but here in the South, plumb dead means really dead. It had sat there. He didn't start it any time, and the battery just went dead. A battery will go dead if you don't charge it on a regular basis. Come on, Frank, you're going to preach here. Your faith that's in your heart will just dry up and go dead if you don't get it out every day, drive it around, if you will, use it and charge it. You got to recharge that battery. So that's what it says there. We must give the earnest heed, lest at any time, let me go back and read it, for we must give the earnest heed for the things which we have heard. Faith doesn't come by having heard. It came by having heard, but you got to plant the seed every day to get it there, so that at any time we should let them slip. Let them slip. It's kind of like a big old 5-gallon bucket, It's got a little hole in the bottom. And so it's draining out every day. It might take it an hour to drain out a small hole. Well, you got to keep filling it up. I like to wash my own cars, and I got this bucket out there and a big old long brush that I use to wash my cars and so forth. Well, one day I just kept thinking, the soapy water that I made up is getting out a lot faster than used to. And I filled it up again, went back to wash the car some more, came back and it was gone again. Well, I picked up the bucket and found out that over the years it had been sitting outside out there, that it had gotten brittle and it cracked along the bottom, and the water that I put in it, even though I couldn't see it, was going out the bottom. And by the time I went to the top of the windows and came back, it was gone. Well, what did I do? I kept replacing the water that day, but then I got me another bucket. It was leaking out. Well, you can't get you another heart, but your heart's got a hole in it, And that faith that you thought you had, that you were planting by planting the seed of the Word of God, is dripping out of that thing. And you might not see it, but one day you're going to go out there, need your faith, and you're going to believe God, and boom, nothing happens. What happened? The Word departed. The Word leaked out. You got too busy in football and shopping and watching television. If you don't plant the seed of the Word of God every day, notice it said we ought to give the more earnest heed to the things which we have heard. God's not going to just supernaturally keep your battery charged. You got to charge it yourself. Oh, I got to go, saints. Don't let the word of healing depart, because it'll depart. Plant the seed. Pat and I've got several areas that we plant the seed every day. One is, of course, financial prosperity. I plant the seed of the Word of God more than anything else on that one every day, because that's where I have not a problem, but I have to keep the Word going in so that I got the money coming in. I plant the seed of the Word of God every day on the healing scriptures. I read them every day, 15, 20 minutes per day. In fact, I'll do that after I do this program. I plant the seed of the Word of God about my wife loves me and I love her. We plant the seed of the Word of God about family every day. Those three things are the most important things that we got going. Now, we plant the other seeds for other things also, so I spend at least a half an hour to an hour a day replanting the seed of the Word of God to keep my battery charged so that when I need it, it's there and I can use it. Got to go. Hey, have a great day. Don't neglect the Word of God. You need to give the more earnest heed to the things which you have heard, lest they just kind of slip away and you don't receive anymore. So until I'm with you tomorrow, hey, have a great day. It is a great day. The Word's powerful enough to get the job done. Make sure you got it in your heart. So remember, Jesus is Lord. Thank God the Word works.